Paul Gleiser, and you tell me what's on your mind, sir.
Good morning, Garth. We are sponsored by K.E. Cellars, Tyler's Old World Style Boutique Winery in the French Quarter on South Broadway across from the mall. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed yesterday afternoon down by nearly 400 points on fears of, among other things, the debt crisis in Europe. This story won't go away. According to the Wall Street Journal, investors are pulling out of equity investments in companies with global exposure and seeking safety in, and get ready for this, U.S. Treasuries. Greece has civil unrest is in need of nearly $1 trillion from its neighbors and us as a result of being in debt to the tune of 115% of its gross domestic product, what its entire economy produces in a year. The rest of Europe is not far behind. Thus, investors are seeking the safety, and I put that in quotes, of U.S. Treasury obligations. Never mind that the U.S. owes 90% of what its economy produces in a year, up from 32% in 1981. If a debt-to-GDP ratio of 115% produces severe economic stress in Greece, and if the same metric for the U.S. stands at 90%, you have to wonder if there's any safety left anywhere in the world. You must further wonder how much longer before the United States is Greece, only with more commas and zeros in the numbers. Europe has been declining for decades, but it has been a very pleasant decline. Where once Europe was the center of every aspect of art, culture, literature, and economic activity, bearing the burden of advancing economic progress throughout the world, today it is a grand museum filled with magnificent architecture and bucolic landscapes and quaint towns that are forever holding festivals to celebrate something or another that was once important that happened a long time ago. It's a lovely retirement, much like senior citizens living in a facility in which all the dirty chores are taken care of by a kindly maintenance man named Charlie. Europe is a continent upon which the dirty chore of defending the peace is taken care of by a kindly uncle named Sam. Protected by the U.S. military that never left following World War II, European countries have been free to spend their defense budgets on social entitlements. This has allowed Europeans to whittle their work weeks down to 30 hours or so, extend their vacations to a month or more, eat dinner at 9:30 at night, sleep past 8:30 in the morning, take a leisurely lunch, head for the house by 4 every day, and retire at age 50. When only 7% of your country's national budget goes for defense as opposed to nearly 40% for the United States, it's easy to spend 60% or more of the national budget on sugar and spice and everything nice for the citizens. Visit Europe and you can actually think that it is they that have things figured out. The food is great. The art collections take one's breath away. The climate is nice, particularly in the Mediterranean countries like Italy and Greece. And the state-subsidized symphony orchestras are the best in the world. On top of this, if you're a European, you're still able to pose in front of the magnificent buildings that your economy once afforded and convince a lot of people that you still matter in the world. Some argue that a similar retreat from world leadership would be good for the United States. Why do we need the U.S. to be a superpower, they argue? Why not relax and become more like Europe and let the government take care of us so that we can enjoy our latte? Look at those happy Europeans sitting at their quaint sidewalk cafes at 2 in the afternoon. The answer, of course, is that Greece is now an acknowledged bankrupt, and most of Europe is not far behind. 2 out of 3 Greeks now derive all or part of their living from the government. There are not enough producing Greeks to provide goodies for the consuming Greeks, and the consuming Greeks are now upset. Civil unrest has ensued. If the U.S. continues to grow its debt and pursue a European model, there is no rich uncle waiting to step in to fix things the way we stepped in for Europe. Our retirement from world hegemony won't be nearly as comfortable as Europe's. We're the last rich uncle on the block. And at a debt-to-GDP ratio of 90% and growing, we won't be rich for long. Ouzo, anyone. That's my word. What's yours? Go to ktbb.com/youtellme. And you tell me. I know that some of you listening are politely listening when I talk about the wines at K.E. Cellars, and you're quietly thinking, yeah, well, I'm sure the wine's pretty good for locally produced wine, but serious wines come from California. Well, listen up. Earlier this month, Tyler Today magazine hosted a blind wine tasting competition. K.E. Cellars entered 2 wines, their 2005 4-Use Syrah and the 2007 Keeper Solid Estates Merlot, against comparable California wines rated 90 or above by Wine Spectator magazine. The results in a blind tasting competition. The 4-Use Syrah was preferred 33-19. The Keeper Solid Estates Merlot was preferred 33-21. In other words, the K.E. Cellar wines blew out the highly rated California wines against which they competed in a blind tasting competition hosted by a neutral party. If you haven't yet done so, go to K.E. Cellars today and ask to try any wine in the collection. Try the 2007 Merlot. I had a glass last night. Then grab a bottle to take home or to enjoy in the quiet, cool seating area while you listen to some live music. K.E. Cellars, Tyler's Old World Style Boutique Winery in the French Quarter on South Broadway across from the mall, and online at kesellars.com.
This weekend only, the reserve